Minneapolis, St. Paul, The Fan.
Oh, well.
Bullseye! High fives for everybody. All I can say is, wow.
Personal foul. Clipping.
It's a covenant cleanup. We say stupid things all of the time.
Who?
Shall we begin?
Oh, yeah. Oh, soft and warm, the quiet storm, KFAN. Raisin in the grass of sports festivities. This is 9 to noon, and it is a Talker Tuesday, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. Welcome to FM 100.3 KFAN. Those of you listening on the vast and ever-expanding iHeartRadio app, welcome to you joining us from abroad. And yours truly is originating from the 651 Carpets Plus studios with a doozy for you today. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. The red-hot Minnesota Timberwolves will be joining about 8 minutes from now. Nice enough to join us from the Bay Area. Chris Finch, Finchy out of the gate. Ben Gessling, the scribe covering the Minnesota Vikings for the Star Tribune. Anthony Barr reportedly will be in our yoke here very soon. Not the radio show, but the football team. Anthony Barr, the very first-round pick for Mike Zimmer in 2014. We will discuss that, the Dobbs delirium, and much more with the scribe at 10 o'clock. And we believe the columnist from the Star Tribune, Wobble Wobble, will wobble his way in here at about 11 o'clock. It is a Brett Blakemore production today, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. Let's handle the L's out of the gate. Now, Blakemore in for Nordo, I mean, that's a quasi-L because he bleeds green and gold, and that's of the L variety, but the acumen and the ability to work the production of 9 to noon is nothing of the L variety at all. You're very good at what you do, but I'm just feeling that green and gold fandom like seeping off you this morning, so that's a little bit of the L variety. The L's as in losing Jordan Hicks. That's an L. It's another brick being pulled from the purple and gold wall. I mean, think about it. JJ half the season, Cousins maybe forever, Davenport, Marcus Davenport, and like the Davenport of injured love, and now the heart and soul of what is becoming one of the game's better defenses. Certainly over the last month, the Minnesota Vikings defense has been one of the best in the National Football League. And no Jordan Hicks after Kevin O'Connell shared yesterday there was emergency surgery after the game against New Orleans. Now, I know the team from the Bayou adjacent to Bourbon Street, might have a little voodoo to it, but I didn't know that they went to like poking the metaphorical voodoo doll that include Jordan Hicks' shin because there was an emergency surgery after the Saints game, and that's scary. So that is an L. That is pulling another brick from a purple and gold wall where sooner or later you hope that so many bricks aren't pulled that the wall topples. I mean, JJ half the season. Isn't that enough? Cousins and the Achilles. Now Jordan Hicks. Ivan Pace. So what comes to mind? And some things that will be presented when the learned scribe joins us in the 651 Carpets Plus studios. First thing that comes to mind, undrafted Cincinnati rookie linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. Ivan Pace Jr. covering the pass. Not saying he can't do it. Haven't really paid a lot of attention to how good he is at it. He's a thumper. Ain't no doubt about that. Had an opportunity for a sack, first full sack of his career in Atlanta. Hicks stole that from him. That's okay. Hicks is not of the anti-Vike variety. He's a very kind gentleman, very good at what he does, the heart and soul of the Minnesota Vikings defense. Ivan Pace Jr. covering the pass. That's going to be a thing on Sunday Night Football. 9 to noon's here to tell you on a Tuesday what you can start thinking about for a Sunday night, because Sean Payton knows offense. And Sean Payton also knows how to put people in peculiar situations and situations they don't prefer. So he's going to be like, all right, I got Javonte Williams, I got this McLaughlin, I got P. Ryan, I got a quarterback who runs a little bit, and you got this undrafted thumper who hits really hard and he pushes offensive linemen backwards. But can he backpedal? What's that moonwalk look like? Can he cover the pass? So that's the first thing that comes to mind, sans Jordan Hicks for at least the Denver Broncos game. You got Anthony Barr in the mix now. Barr can cover the pass, but he hasn't played all year. He played, I think it was 43.5% or 43.5 snaps per game on average for the Cowboys last year in playing like 14 games for them. Anthony Barr, don't leave home without him. Is Brian Asamoah close to doing anything? If the reports that Anthony Barr joining the Covenant, then the answer to that would be either no or mostly no. Seems Troy Dye might get first call, and the team still should be okay at Denver. A team that beat Buffalo last night has won 3 in a row, won an incredibly ugly game against Double B's team. Very nice performance against Kansas City. Anytime you hold Patrick Mahomes to no touchdowns, that's a very nice performance. And then they win on Monday Night Football. But the Minnesota Vikings got a little steamroll to them right now with this Dobbs delirium, so I think they'll be okay in Denver. The L's, as in Love, as in Jordan Love. Now, yours truly is not calling Jordan Love an L because he hasn't played enough games to be of the capital L variety. But I think Packer fans and fantasy football fans and football fans alike can recognize that there is an L-ish nature to this quarterback that may need to be discussed. So, Brett, I'm going to ask you this question. If you being a Packers fan, it's, what is it? Not Vox and Xbox. It's PA and Green Bay.
Yeah, there it is.
PA and Green Bay. It's PA and GB and Double B, and here he is. If things go totally pear-shaped for Green Bay and they win like 4 games, I mean, probably ain't going to happen. But if it does happen, they win like 4 games. Do they draft a quarterback high? You see, my next-door neighbor, Cotton John, he loves the green and gold every bit as much as you do. And I brought this up to him as we were taking out the trash and the recycling on Sunday night. And I got backed into some Jordan Love conversation. I was trying to get on with my evening. And I brought that up, and he's like, no, you don't take a quarterback. But then I explained a couple of things, and then, you know, he left brain boggled. What do you think?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think you take a quarterback just because you don't invest that pick and this amount of years sitting behind Rodgers and then give up on him, you know, one season. And I do think there are bigger fish to fry with this team. I think Goot messed up. We've always had a balance of young players that are cheap and veterans that are there to round out the experience of the roster.
And Hall of Fame quarterbacks for a quarter century.
Well, there's that. But
no, there is that. I mean, that's that.
Yeah, exactly. But the balance is off this year as far as that goes. It's too many young players and essentially no veterans on offense and passing the ball. Penalties still a huge problem. Drops still a huge problem. If there was a competent receiving core, I think they'd at least be a 500 club right now. Which is not great.
So then you, like Cotton John, I haven't asked Cindy. I was going to ask him yesterday, but we got backed up. You would say no. Because
I'd take a receiver or a tackle.
The tried and true, rational Packer fans within my covenant all have said no. You don't take a quarterback. All right, I might not be seeing this thing clearly. The Owls, and finally, before Finchy calls from Northern California, the Minnesota Wild flew to Sweden last night. They landed this morning. 8-3, the bad way. The last time we saw them against Dallas, 8-3, the bad way, man. 5 days with no games to get ready for Ottawa. You being a Minnesota Wild fan, Double B, what's the problem?
There's a lot of problems. It depends on who you ask. A lot of people will say that it's Kaprizov, and he's certainly not playing well.
Finchy.
Yeah.
We can get back into that momentarily. You called a minute early. It's what he does. The Minnesota Wild, They play Ottawa, I believe, on Saturday, and they got a couple of games in Sweden, so they have 5 days with no games to get ready for Ottawa. Russo Radio joins 9 to noon tomorrow from Sweden. We'll have a couple of Sweden-related guests on a Thursday, including Dean Evison. But at this moment, 9 to noon is incredibly happy to start the show with Finch, start the show with the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. What's going on out there, Coach? How are things?
I'm good. How about yourself, PA?
Right on, man. Just chatting about some L's, like, the red-hot Minnesota Vikings, kind of like your red-hot Minnesota Timberwolves, but we just lost, like, the heart and soul of our defense for at least a game, Jordan Hicks. And then chatting a little bit about Jordan Love and the hockey team in Sweden. And in sports, opposite the L is the W, and the Minnesota Timberwolves have housed 6 consecutive of those. Most recently, a convincing road win over the Dubs, the Golden State Warriors. And Chris's appearance is courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland. twoharvest.org is where you can learn more. And Chris, I don't mean to catch you off guard with this. You are on the board of Second Harvest Heartland, but the holiday season, whether it's volunteering, assisting, giving of money, or whatever, I would imagine the holiday season is a very important time for Second Harvest Heartland.
Yeah, I mean, this is the giving season, Paul, and certainly anything that people can manage to provide for others, whether it be their time to volunteer or money or any other resource that's needed out there. This is the time when we see it, and this is the time when we need it. And, as you know, it's for some of us, life is easy, and for some of us, life is not. And it's our job to take care of those people who need the help. And anything that people can stand up and help with Second Harvest, we would love and welcome it.
Love how you laid that out and completely agree. Specifically, to whom much is given, much is expected. So that will go where it goes. And twoharvest.org is where you can learn more. And if it hits your heart, then help if at all possible. Now, out in the Bay Area, what part of the city do you guys stay on a trip like this?
Well, this time we're up at the Ritz, which is just on the hill behind Chinatown.
Ooh.
Oftentimes we stay down in the Soma, the Market Mission area.
Yeah.
But they have the APEC conference going on out here.
The what?
The Asian Pacific Economic Conference.
Wow.
The Timberwolves aren't the most important people in town today. We got, I think, Biden and the leader of China are in town today. So the city's going to be all gummed up.
Man, I went to Pasadena City College for 5 years and I didn't even get a degree. I mean, that conference you just laid out with the Asian Pacific thing, I mean, that sounded like beyond geometry, which I think is a fair assessment, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna get done out here, but I won't understand it either. So,
do you do any sightseeing? When you have a weird trip like this, where you play Sunday night, now you play the Dubs tonight. I mean, like Alcatraz or maybe the wine country of Santa Rosa.
Yeah, sometimes people get out and yesterday was an off day for the players and the staff. Off days on the road are always kind of nice. They are like little mini vacations sometimes if you're in a good city that you really like. Weather's been beautiful out here. We've been here 4 nights just with the way the schedule laid out, playing 2 games. And I went for a walk almost from our hotel down to the Golden Gate Bridge, about 4+ miles. So it was a beautiful little stroll, and caught up with some friends who are out here, and just had a relaxing day in a nice city.
Well, you guys left the Warriors punch drunk on Sunday, and is a common thread during the winning, and it's very early in the season, but nevertheless, the wins count. Is it a common thread that you guys are taking the fight to teams, especially early in games?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that's a trademark of defensive-minded teams. They're not waiting for the game to get going before they start playing defense, and that's really been our identity. That's been our calling card, and that's what guys have bought into, and just kind of getting after things defensively. And then if the game's kind of mapped out as, through the game we find an offensive rhythm, and Anthony will have a little run, and then Cat has a little run, and then we have a bunch of other guys sprinkled in here and there. I mean, we still got some work to do there with the offense. It's not quite as fluid as I'd like, but it'll get there. It's still early, as you say. But defensively, to your point, I really like how we've been starting games. Other than the San Antonio game where they put 21 on the board in the first 6 minutes of the first quarter, we've not given up any big first quarters, which can, change the complexion of the game greatly and force you to chase the game in a lot of ways. So I think you're right. I think it's an accurate assessment.
And I mean, from days gone by, I mean, we're talking years ago here, because it's gotten better of late, but nevertheless, whether you're in Houston or New Orleans or wherever you are, it's like there's a perception with playing the Minnesota Timberwolves that you're playing a team that hasn't done much in multiple decades. And it just seems clear to me, specifically in the Denver game and the Warriors game, the Utah game to a certain extent, is getting rid of that stigma that it's some loser team trapped in the cornfields that's just going to be a free W every time you see them on the schedule. I mean, that stigma is gone. Don't you agree?
Well, I would hope so, and I would like to think so, and I do believe it is. I feel our team plays hard. There's not many guys that are, with the organization that have been here through the years that you're talking about. So
yeah.
I understand that there are reputations or stigmas or collective mindsets that teams or fan bases might have, but the reality is, we are a bunch of competitive dudes, and I like to think I'm at the top of that list. I know Tim Connolly is, and our players are. And, while we certainly understand the history of the franchise as we understand the history of the league, I can remember when people used to probably think the same about Golden State, many years ago. It's just a kind of a loose team that had enough talent to beat you every now and again to have a really good season, but they couldn't sustain it. And these things change, and they change with dynamic players. We certainly have one in Anthony. They change with the right core coming together. We have a good young core. We have great veteran leadership. I really like the mix, and I really like the way our guys are competing with each other, early in the season, we're happy where we are. We're not satisfied. We got a lot of work to do. Got to keep proving it to ourselves and everybody else. But to your point, I think we are turning a corner when it comes to a team that is one you got to fight to put down.
How about Carl the last few? I mean, good to see him this comfortable. He just, even viewing it from afar, Chris, you can just tell he's comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It really is. And he just has had this sense of when we needed him to step up and take over. He's done it in the last two games in the third quarter. That's when we've been able to put distance in the game, is on the back of his runs. Then Anthony has helped close it out. Being able to stagger those two guys in the right moments has been key for us. It doesn't always map out every game because of foul trouble or other matchup issues, but
right.
It's a great luxury. And the other thing I like about it is a lot of teams, they don't maybe have a second or a third dimension to their offense. So if they're a team that shoots a volume amount of 3-point shots, that they may have to just keep doubling down on that, even if it's not their night from three. When we have the ability to do a few different things offensively, and just being able to kind of mesh it all together has taken some time for me and for the guys, but I think we're starting to see some glimpses of how it can really work and how it can, we can shift gears between a Cat ISO post up or nail ISO against the switch versus, an Anthony, actions or plays, etc. And we still have to kind of, again, that's a work in progress. But if we're able to really nail that dynamic, I think we can go to another level.
With Kerr's team, what do you think they'll do differently tonight compared to Sunday?
Well, I think they'll shoot the ball a little bit better. It's on the back-to-back. It's tough sometimes to have your legs and you leave things a little bit shorter. So, they did generate a few open looks, which they normally knock down. So I would expect them to shoot a little bit better. I would expect a lot of nasty screening to get those shooters open. Defensively, They might flip the matchups around on us sometimes. But we'll just have to see. Generally with teams like this, they're so familiar with each other. They won't make a ton of adjustments in how they play. They are who they are. They lay it out there and make you beat them again. And so we expect just a better version of what we saw the other night.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Speaking of the word nasty, coach, what was Chris Paul's problem overzealously going at Conley's knee?
Yeah, I actually saw just the tail end of the play in the game, and I didn't, from the angle I had, it didn't look like egregiously, malicious or anything like that from the angle I had. And even looking at it in hindsight, it was a 50-50 ball. The thing that I was most upset about is somehow Mike Conley ended up with the foul. I don't think it was a dirty play by Chris. I just was curious how Mike got the foul.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate. I think there's a little bit of a overreaction to it all.
Might be.
I think Mike and Chris talked about it, and they're two great point guards who have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. So that's how I kind of saw it.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. And I saw the play, but I saw it on social media, where it's like slowed down and stuff. And then you go to speculating and guessing as to whether Chris went to lunging as he was falling down in the key. But kids these days, man, they live on social media. So I don't know. I mean, might just be an iota of bad blood tonight. You know what I mean? Maybe just a little bit.
I like that iota. It's a SAT word.
Yeah, it's Soma, south of Market, with that with that Asian Pacific convention taking place right now. What's the atmosphere like in that building?
It's good, man. It's really good. But it's not what it used to be at Oracle. I mean, it's just that place was just had another level of raucous to it. But they're a great fan base. And the building is beautiful. They probably got the nicest visitors locker room. Just everything about the building and the team is first class. They spared no expense. They treat you extremely well as a visitor, and it's loud, it's energetic. They got but that old building over at Oracle in Oakland.
Oh.
And that thing was something else.
I called horse races up there 93 to 98, and it was just starting my microphone related career. So I have no family and few friends up in the Bay Area. So therefore, being an NBA guy, I would drive across the San Mateo Bridge every time the Golden State Warriors were home and wait in the parking lot to get a single ticket, man. I sat like one or two rows behind benches like 25 or 30 times, 93 to 98. And I'm talking when Sprewell was a rookie and Chris Webber and Billy Owens. And Latrell, he was a bulldog at the height of his career, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were some fun teams. One thing I used to love about a lot of those teams is, they used to get the late game on, I guess it would have been done, on TNT. They'd get that late game. It was always a great game, no matter if they were, a good team or not a good team. They always had guys you like to watch. With Don Nelson played an exciting style of basketball.
Yeah.
And the arena was always jumping, no matter what. And it was fun. And listen, it's again, these guys have had a ton of success, and with that brings everything that they deserve. But their fans have followed them across the Bay, and they are super passionate about their Warriors.
And why I brought it up is because of that building. It's the Oakland Alameda Coliseum was right next to it. It's right off Hegenberger in Oakland, and you referenced that, and you're right. It was just different. It's like I remember living in Los Angeles watching an LA Lakers playoff game with good Lakers teams like Magic, Worthy, Jabbar, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and so on. And they had a playoff game at Golden State where Sleepy Floyd might have scored 30 points in one quarter, all on Michael Cooper, who was a perimeter defensive stud. And I'll never forget how loud that building was just watching it on TV. So they really, really do a good job loving their sports teams up there. And before I let you go, Wemby, what'd you think of Wemby? First time you've seen Wemby?
Yeah. Man, it's incredible. Incredible to watch up close. Just the way that he moves, the skills that he has. A couple plays stood out for me. We didn't talk too much about him in the scouting report from a Wolves offensive attacking the Spurs defense point of view, because I didn't want to oversell his length, but man, like he had an incredible deterrence factor. I saw guys that normally attack on our team were just like, whoop, I'm not going to go in there right now. So that was one. And two, he had a play, I think it might have been the second quarter, where there was a long rebound, loose ball into the shot clock. He picks it up from about 40, and he shoots a three, and it looked like he was shooting from 14 feet. He just is the same rhythm, the same form, the same tempo. And with that great length, he has this high release point, and the shot just looked good from the moment it left his hand, and it splashed in, and it was literally a 32-foot 3-point shot or something like that. So he's going to be, God willing, he stays healthy.
Yeah.
I expect him to be the best player on the planet in 5 years, So within 5 years, he learns the game. He learns everything he needs to know from Pop, which is a treasure. And then he's going to, his body's going to fill out. You can see he's got the frame. He's going to be able to carry it, wear it well.
All right, last one, so you can get out on Folsom and get a double espresso with a French roast charge and get ready to go 7 in a row this evening. Anthony Edwards. How about Edwards at the line Sunday? I mean, he's just beaming with confidence right now, isn't he?
He is. He's playing really well. Both ends of the floor. He's locked in, consistent. He didn't have the greatest game the other day. He got off to kind of a rough start. He'd been battling a cold, was down for a few days, been battling some sickness. But he fought through it, didn't shoot the ball well. I know he was chasing the game, just trying, looking to kind of close it out. Shot wasn't falling for him, but then he was, when in the third quarter, he was really moving the ball, getting teammates involved, and that's kind of when Cat went on his little bit of run there. Jaden got the chance to go to work on Curry a few times, and I just like that he's has his awareness and ability to kind of get his teammates involved more and more is just getting better and better. So yeah, he's playing with a ton of confidence, but we've seen that coming for a while.
I appreciate the solid this morning. Thank you very much. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Anytime. Take care. Thanks.
Yep. See you, bud. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joining us from San Francisco, where on the free iHeartRadio app and the dedicated Timberwolves channel, you'll be able to hear Alan Horton call the Wolves and the Warriors this evening. It's a game. When's the game? Like 9 o'clock, something like that, like somewhere around 9, shortly after 9:30, something like that. But you can figure that out and then listen to it on the vast and ever expanding free iHeartRadio app. It's Paul Allen. Brett Blakemore is guiding the Great Ship Love Covenant today, and he orchestrates the cash thing as we say good morning.
Good morning. The cash thing, the fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand at the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com and a keyword credit for this hour. The keyword is credit. KFAN.com, keyword credit.
The Fan.
The Goliath Project with student-athlete cancer survivors as they begin the work to return to their sport or activity following treatment. They provide services such as personal training, gym-related equipment, nutrition, sports psychology services, and they're looking for individuals or businesses to donate towards their athletes' recovery. To learn more and donate today, check out KFAN.com, keyword community, KFAN.com, keyword community.
All right, I want you to finish what you were saying. Chris Finch called a little early, but as we were going through the L's to begin the show, Jordan Hicks, linebacker, heart and soul of the Vikings defense, out for at least the Broncos game. That's of the L variety. After that, talked about Jordan Love, quarterback for Blakemore's favorite team, just to do an L gauging-ometer just to see what my Packer friends, Packer fans, and or my Packer friends are thinking about the future of the franchise and that position. Because I mean, this draft coming up with quarterbacks, I'm about ready to just hoist the white flag and concede. Whomever first said this is going to be one of the deeper quarterback drafts in the history of the NFL. The same people said it about the 2020 wide receiver draft, and they were right. Same people said it about the tight ends last year. Kincaid can play. Your guy Musgrave can play. Once he gets up to speed. The Broncos, I think 85. I can't remember his name. I'll know it by Sunday night. I think he was undrafted. This is how deep this tight end bid is. Is this 85 doesn't play much for the Denver Broncos? He's unbelievably fast for a tight end, man. He's like a 4.5 guy. And they the anti-Vike dialed up a play for him last night. And, of course, he got wide open inside the 10, but Russ went to running around a little bit. And with the chicken with the head cut off terrorism, he couldn't find 85, who did his job to get open.
Lucas Kroll?
Yeah. I'm thinking he was undrafted. Where'd he come from?
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure he was undrafted, man. That's just how
he went to Pitt, but it doesn't say on his site.
Yeah,
I can find it.
Right, that's okay. But that just shows you the depth, truly, of how deep the draft was for tight ends. And the same people are saying that about quarterbacks. I mean, Williams and May and Nix and Penix and McCarthy. I mean, we're going to start eventually as the season ends here. People will start hearing the same names over and over and over. But there are more. I mean, there are going to be a cup. See when like that 2020 wide receivers draft. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy and Ruggs, the Alabama guys, were the first two. And Ruggs obviously had an off the field situation in Las Vegas, where I believe he's in jail. And Jerry Jeudy, Judy's been all right. I mean, he's skilled, he's gifted. I don't really know what he does, except run down the field fast. But outside of that, Jefferson and Ayuk and CD Lamb. So that's the high end. So if you're thinking like, CD went in the high teens, I believe. Well, quarterbacks don't go in the high teens. I mean, we're talking this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 4, 5, 7 like that. So just take those numbers and segue them to where like high end wide receivers will go. And then you get to like the second round of that 2020 draft where Chase Claypool's fallen off the map, but Chase came out of the gate really, really good. T. Higgins was part of that early brigade of receivers going early in the second round. Brandon Ayuk went late in the first round. Every team in the NFL would like to have Brandon Ayuk. But then you get like deeper, where the Bears got a guy I still love, even though DJ Moore's getting all the love and their quarterback situation's weird. But Darnell Mooney is a player. And I love Darnell Mooney, man. He's just a sneaky good player, mixes it up in the run force. So I like Darnell. Well, that's a 5th round pick. The cat who played last night for the Bills, I mean, he's super in and out. He's very inconsistent, but that's reminiscent or typifies everything that is Buffalo Bills football. To be inconsistent, to have a mercurial side to you, to have an enigmatic side to you, to have a choppy, scattered, muddled, topsy-turvy at times nature to you. Those are the Buffalo Bills. I mean, really, when you lay out the roster and the talent they have, I mean, this may end up being one of the more underachieving groups over the last 2 years the National Football League has endured in quite some time. Gabe Davis is a wide receiver for them. Gabe Davis is quite good. Very, very inconsistent, but he's quite good. Well, in sneaky fashion, Gabe was a deep draft pick in that 2020 wide receiver draft. So here's the point, is that year, the majority of the focus was Ruggs, Jeudy, Lamb, Jefferson, and a little bit of Ayuk. Ayuk is on fire from ASU. But that doesn't mean there weren't others to go mining and leave it saying there's gold in them thar hills. That's going to be the situation with quarterbacks this year. Now, I'm not saying, Tom Brady-esque players are going to pop up in round 6, but I'm not saying they're not. Because the high enders will be there will be so much conversation with them that people will forget that you're going to get quarterbacks 6 through 11, where 2 or 3 of them are going to hit. They might not start their first year, but they're going to be quite good if they get into the right scheme. And that's why I brought that Jordan Love question up to you, is just to, it doesn't have to be, well, that's it. Love sucks. We're done with him. Let's trade everything we have to get up and get Caleb Williams. I mean, that could happen too. But I'm just saying a quarterback somewhere within that realm of those top 10-ish or so. Is that part of the L's. That was the gist of the bit. Then I got to the Wild. They landed in Sweden a few hours ago, and again, Russo Radio tomorrow 9 to noon. Dean Evison and more from Sweden on Thursday. That's for sure 9 to noon. But 8-3, they lose to Dallas. The last time we saw them, they've lost 3 in a row.
Yep.
And really, it's a FIBA Fairness and Box Act. When the Vikings have road games, or the Wild just play it sometimes has been difficult for me to watch. So I got a little out of touch over the last few games. I know you watched them all. What's up, man?
Yeah, I have a lot to say on this. Everyone, it was embarrassing, first of all. I mean, there was no effort from almost anybody turning over the pucks. I mean, I was there in the X, and I have a rule where I never leave games early, just because I feel like if I paid my money, or if someone gave me tickets, then I stay.
You ain't paid for tickets in 2 years, bro. So let's just move on with that.
But I almost did. I was very close to leaving that game. A lot of basically everyone and their mother has said, well, Kaprizov's the problem. The skill guys, the top 6 are the problem, and they're turning over pucks. We lost 8-3. Yeah. They gave up 5 power play goals. Yeah. And you know who's taking all these penalties?
Oh.
Are the bottom 6.
Really?
Duhaime, Dewar. Yeah. They're taking dumb. Duhaime took a horrible boarding call that put him behind, and 2 of those power play goals came because of that. On a 5-minute major.
Was all of that against Big D an outlier, or
no?
Right.
This has been the case.
I'm like listening to Evison's press conferences, and
he just ripped Kaprizov.
I'm watching what I can, and I'm following Russo Radio, which I think, and Joe Smith Athletic, which I think is a pretty good formula for playing catch up and following a little bit from afar. And a lot of things you just said are being hit on like directly by the head coach.
Yes, but they said, I mean, Dean Evison said in his post-game presser, the bottom 6 are fine. They're getting the job done. It's the top 6. And my response to that would be, we gave up 8 goals. No one's getting it done. Now, has Kaprizov been good? Absolutely not. I'm not excusing he was turning over pucks left and right. I'm not ignoring that.
Yeah.
But here's the deal with how the team is built. Dallas has skill, so much skill that, let's say Robertson was playing super terrible. He was awful. He's turning over pucks. They have guys. Tyler Seguin is a third liner on the Dallas Stars.
Wow.
We have Ryan Hartman centering our top line. I mean, they have enough skill to where you can offset that. If someone's having a bad game, then you can have some skill and goal scoring from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas this team, the bottom 6 for me does absolutely nothing offensively as far as skill goes. And so when Kaprizov is off and when Boldy is off, that's it. That's the end of the story. And you give up 8 goals on the back end, too. Fleury couldn't have done it. We could have had prime Carey Price in there, and we would have given up 6 goals.
Let it out.
Yeah, I've got a lot to...
Yeah, let it out.
It's just the philosophy of this team. Well, I struggle with understanding because everyone else is skill, speed, and skill, and we are still. DeBoer said after the game, it's the same thing every time we come to Minnesota. They chase hits, they take dumb penalties, and we score on the power play. Same thing today.
Right, he said that after the game?
Yes, and we didn't learn anything. Hey. We didn't learn. We just said, we got to play our game.
Ooh.
And here we go, 8 goals.
Now they're making fun of us. Holy cow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that last break was a minute longer than it needed to be because the Vikings haven't lost in a month and change. So it took me a while in the storage closet to get the therapeutic Davenport of Love out.
Yeah.
Had to take the plastic off. All the legs are intact. We're so hot right now. People aren't jumping on it. But I'm glad I laid that thing out there for you, that therapeutic Davenport of Love, the Wild fan in you. You sounded like you needed it, man.
I did. I feel better now.
Glad you got that off your chest. You're listening to 9 to Noon.
Time now for the Vikings Report on FAN, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. Play the new Vikings scratch game for a chance to win up to $100,000. Vikings assistant coach Mike Pettin joins PA after this. PA on the FAN.
Do you love soccer and movies? You know I do. Then head over our contest page and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the new movie Next Goal Wins, a comedy based on the true story of the American Samoa national soccer team. KFAN.com, keyword contest center.
Ben Gessling, who covers the Minnesota Vikings for the Strib, is around the corner. Welcome back. It's 9:53, and I'm Paul Allen. Anthony Barr is back in the fold. That was Zimmer's first-round draft pick back in 2014. Just look at the NFC, man. The Eagles and Lions are the top two seeds. The Niners have gotten healthy and seem to be mad that the audacity that we have 3 losses through 9 games. But the competitive arrogance that makes up next level part of that front running charm. But they got themselves healthy, and when you have a quarterback making like $600,000, you can maneuver your way to Chase Young. So therefore, they're acting like they're mad, and the NFC is just a potpourri of muddle. It's a potpourri of muddle, and that's really the only way to look at it into the second half of the season. The Dallas Cowboys are 6-3. The Super Chickens are also 6-3, and here we sit at 6-4. So it sure would be great. I mean, with the way things are going, 5 in a row for KO. Maybe you can win at Denver, get 6 in a row for Josh Oliver, 6 in a row for Josh O. Beat the Bears on Monday Night Football, head into the bye on a 7-game bender, come out of it, beat the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's 8 in a row. Because you got Joey Burrow and the Lions twice nearing the end of the season. And, you know, with the Lions being the third to last game and the final game of the season, well, I mean, that if the Minnesota Vikings make the postseason as a wild card team, and sure would have been nice for the LA Chargers defense this weekend to not go punchless, hitless, and toothless into the night with that game against the Kitties. Vikings could have cut that division lead to 1. I'm going to be square with you here, and maybe you know there are many who are in lockstep with the old announcer with what I'm about to say in Minnesota Vikings football, even up to this most recent win against the New Orleans Saints. I haven't thought about the Minnesota Vikings winning the division 1 time since July. I mean, seriously, you start 0-3 or whatever it was, 1-4, and the Lions were favored to win the division into the season. I was not offended by that. And then I don't think I can lay it on any more plainly for those who listen, is it can be argued the Lions should have beaten the Minnesota Vikings 4 consecutive times. So I'm not with this iteration of Minnesota Vikings football and the stark change that we adversaries, everybody around the league is experiencing when trying to figure out the Minnesota Vikings with this quarterback who we believe can pass. He just went for 268, a career high. Big Horse is still in the barn, JJ. But we believe that passing is going to be something that's going to be okay long-term for Josh Dobbs. But the running part is a gift. The young man is gifted with the right way to run and how to make people miss, and super strong legs and shaking tackles by like Bud Dupree and safeties and stuff like that. So as the league continues to find out or figure out exactly the who, where, when, and why of the Minnesota Vikings, it's the Detroit Lions have 2 losses. And the Detroit Lions are one of the best teams in the National Football League. In fact, for my taste, they're top 5. Maybe top 4-ish, top 5-ish. And that whole thing will bear its fruit as the postseason rolls along. But, you know, when we had Chris Finch on, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves 45 minutes ago, I was like, you know, when you coached in Houston or you coached in New Orleans, the Timberwolves have had a stigma. It's a bunch of L's rolling around in the cornfields. You don't have to take them super seriously. If you bring 80%, you're probably going to beat them. They're a non-playoff team, and they're not tough. Well, that stigma has kind of been left in the wake of a keen turn of Anthony Edwards-related speed. Well, that needs to be the situation with the Lions, too. I mean, if they get to the playoffs, or when they get to the playoffs, they ain't going to lose a game because of what happened with Lions football over the last 20 years. That stigma is gone. So they are formidable. And that and much more will be discussed with the scribe who joins us in studio.